I going to make school a great place for students? When I step into a classroom with heterogeneous students, I want to make my class a safe and welcoming environment for all students. My philosophy closely relates to the Alice Springs Declaration, which states that their vision is for a world-class education system that encourages and supports every student to be the very best they can be, no matter where they live or the kind of learning challenges they may face. No matter what socioeconomic area we choose to teach in throughout our career, whether it's a high socioeconomic area or a lower socioeconomic area, we are going to have students from all types of diverse backgrounds and struggles. So we need to ensure that teachers encourage students and support them throughout their schooling journey. Students' relationship and learning are of the utmost importance to Bell Hook's philosophy. Students should be able to try out and change the environment and allow teachers to utilise individual classroom qualities. Besides advocating for inclusion, Bell's philosophy also advocates for the right of education for everyone, regardless of their background. The culture in which we live in is becoming increasingly diverse, and we have had to consider how socioeconomics, religion, gender, and race all affect and influence students. In terms of the Australian professional standards for teachers, Bell's philosophy relates to standard number 1. Know students and how they learn, alongside with focus area number 1.3. Demonstrate the knowledge of teaching strategies that are responsive to the learning strategies and needs of students from diverse linguistic, cultural, religious, and socioeconomic backgrounds. Under the Code of Ethics for Teachers, Bell Hooks certainly demonstrates care. She wants the best for every student, regardless of their background, and wants to see them succeed in the world and not be held back by things like religion, gender, and socioeconomic background. Bell emphasises that engaged pedagogy, forward-looking education is more demanding than conventional critical pedagogy. In contrast, Bell expresses how important the well-being of students is in and out of the classroom. Bell Hook believes that education takes place not only in the classroom, but also around the globe. And her pedagogy responds to the specific circumstance of each group of students. John Dewey was an advocate of brain-based pedagogy, in which children were placed at the centre of the learning rather than the curriculum and institutions. Dewey believed that in order for students to learn effectively, previous experiences and prevailing ones need to be transformed into new meaning. And that true education comes through stimulating the child's talent. This is done by stimulating the social circumstances. In terms of the Australian professional standards for teaching, John Dewey's philosophy relates to knowing the content and knowing how to teach it, creating strategies that engage students and create meaning for them, and using innovative and engaging teaching approaches.
In relation to the Code of Ethics for Teachers, John Dewey demonstrates throughout his philosophy the key importance of taking responsibility in our teaching, to ensure that we as teachers know and understand the content and know how to teach it in a way that students will understand. I have been able to establish my own educational philosophy through the analysis of both Bell and John's philosophies. Education to me is about letting students decide for themselves about their own education and letting them formulate their own ideologies through critical thinking without being indoctrinated. Providing a safe space for spontaneous transformation and discovery, education should be a source of freedom and liberation. By emphasising practices that focus on the importance of creating caring relationships between students and embracing the child's personal situation, we can better understand how to respond to them. Minorities should not be marginalised in education and should be included. I will engage my students in a holistic and progressive approach to well-being and pedagogy so that they can maximise learning opportunities. It's important for students to be inspired to learn by a curriculum they can relate to. In addition to learning a curriculum they can relate to, learning processes should be incorporated by their interests and values of the students, so they can draw connections between their social experience and their classroom learning. Creating context and texts that challenge stereotypical assumptions about society and the world around us requires acknowledging and celebrating the diversity of the world.